the theme of today's little presentation is about engaging your audience, with audiences. And more we're being asked, look, I need to reach out to certain groups. And, people are asking us, how can we do that? How can we help? So this is a little, just a little overview really on engaging with different audiences. And as you can see from my title, it's a simple approach. As introduction, I'll say three little things. One is that one size won't fit all. So what I'm going to be talking about in the next 20 odd minutes is a bunch of ideas and suggestions about engagement, but it's going to be, and I hope to make this clear, it's going to be a question of you asking yourself some questions and working out exactly which approach is going to work for you, what you want to achieve, and what resources you have to do that engagement. So the second thing is to say is it does really depend what you want to achieve, because engagement means a lot of things to a lot of people. And it might be that you just want to sort of add value to your service. You want to provide something a bit more to keep people interested. It might be you want to get feedback, or you want to bring new people or new funding into your organization. So it very much depends on what your objective is as to what route you take. And the final thing I'll just say as a sort of broad introduction is it's a long-term game. So it's not a quick fix, and I don't think we should expect that. So a lot of it is about building relationships, and like any relationship, it takes time and hard work. So it is a commitment. So I'm going to look at three questions. I'm going to look at why people might want to get involved with engagement. Who are the kind of groups and that might fit in with the whys that you would want to engage with? And perhaps, the bigger one, how will we go about it? So we're starting with the why. I've got to keep clicking because I'm on my own. I've got to let people in at the same time. So we're going to start with the why do you want to engage with people? Now, I also have got to apologize. Normally we'll do this in a smaller group workshop situation, and I'll let you all shout out and have fun. And this time we haven't really got that much time, so we'll keep that to a minimum. But if you do have to shout, go ahead. So why? There you go. Hey, so you might want to improve your service. You might want to attract new clients, and you certainly will want to keep your existing clients or service users. So these are different reasons you might want to engage and get feedback, to attract people, to get them to talk to you. You might want to get new partners, and in that, I mean, in a bit later in this presentation, I'll talk about stakeholders, and it's a bit of a it's a word that we hear a lot, stakeholders, but there are different people, different groups who might be important to you. And it might be you want to connect with volunteers, engage with your trustees, find customers, find service users. Any of those are people you might want to bring in with engagements. And I've added on this one at the end, appeal to funders, because any of you who ever get involved at the moment in trying to do fundraising, particularly grant fundraising, we always have to demonstrate how do you engage your service users, how do you engage your stakeholders. I'm certainly not in favor of this as a token exercise. I mean, I believe very, very deeply that a service needs to be led by the people who use it. And that's what engagement is as its heart. There's no point with doing something if it's not wanted, and we're doing it when it is wanted, we're trying to make it the best and most responsive. But clearly we do have to demonstrate that in a lot of the fundraising work that we do as well. So those are the kind of big reasons why we might want to get engagement. But you might have your own as well. Without doubt, there are a lot more. So following on from why, it's clear that we need to decide what our goals are. And as I said in the introduction, it's depending on exactly what we're trying to achieve with this engagement will define the way we go. And it's kind of a bit of a boring, can I say, it's a truism that, you know, if you don't know where you want to get to, it's going to be pretty hard to get there. You know, so like the old thing of, well, you want to get to Istanbul, maybe not Istanbul at the moment, maybe you want to get to South Salisbury, I don't know. In order to, you need to set your target before you can plan your route. So very important. And I've come up with then some goals that I thought might be, well, I came up with these. So one specific goal I came up with, we want to improve our newsletter. And then I came up with another one. We need to get feedback from people from different ethnic backgrounds. And the third one I came up with, we want to find out what people like about our service. So question to you, how specific do you feel these three goals are? You can put your thumbs up or your thumbs down, or it's a thumbs in the flat direction. Yeah, we're not sure, are we? They're not very specific. The more specific, the more we can drill down, the better. So then I played with them a bit more, and I came up with, okay, so we want to know how people over 60 find out about our newsletter and which are their favorite sections. So I'm already much clearer about who it is I'm going to need to target, and exactly the kind of questions and the way I might engage to give me the feedback I'm looking for. We want to find out how much women in the Goan community know about our drop-in service. We want to know what teenagers like or dislike about our video clips. I kind of did these, you know, just as an exercise and trying to think through. And what you'll see is that each time I did it, I managed to drill down and be a bit clearer about what my goal was for the engagement. And so what I will say is when you're thinking about setting your goals, take your time, share it with your team or with other people, and think about it and sleep on it and come back, because you know, on reflection, you'll be able to drill down a bit more. But the more specific we can be, the more chance we are of being successful. So that's the why. Now we're talking about the who. Who might we want to engage? Well, this is in many ways a simpler question. Your current service users who you might want to get feedback from, you might want to add them extra value. You might already have identified, okay, there's some missing groups or demographics, people we'd like to get involved, we'd like to hear from, but we want to engage them. So this one is obviously a trickier one. And there may be, as I said, I was going to mention the word other stakeholders. You know, there may be other people you want to engage. But as, you know, obviously when we're setting our goals, the who is part of the goals. And when we're defining our target group, who we want to engage, we've got, again, we want to be as specific as possible. And bearing in mind, we're all different. So even in those examples I did, we said, okay, women from the Goan community. Well, even women from the Goan community, there's a massive diversity in that group. So we can keep drilling down and down. But here are my sort of little recommendations. When you're thinking about your target group and who exactly you want to engage, define as closely as you can that group. So think about their age, their background, their interests. The more specific you can be, the more chance you've got to be successful. Find out where they hang out. Now, I'm using hang out in a very non-literal way here. But the whole point is to find out maybe what newspapers people read, what maybe if there's social centers in other times when people can go to actual physical places, but what they read, what websites, what social media they visit, what flyers they pick up. Because of course, you know, in order to reach someone, you're going to have to, we can't, this is the whole point. I mean, one of the key points of engagement is I can't expect people to come to me. So these 3 steps are really to help me define who I'm trying to reach, where that person hangs out, what they read, what their interests are, and therefore how I could connect with them. I want to say here, there's sometimes we talk to people and they say, oh no, our service is for everybody. This is for everyone. I want to talk to everybody. You know, you might be doing a big fundraising campaign. I want to, you know, it could be for everyone. And there's a little lesson I learned from sort of more from the, you know, the business world, but it is very applicable to what we're talking about from marketing. And they say, if you aim your product or you aim your message at everyone, you'll end up attracting no one, or you won't attract anyone. The point is, if you say, you know, I'm going to target my message at everybody, it's not going to speak to any particular group. So it's going to just, everyone's going to go, oh yeah, it's probably not for me. So even if you think, yeah, your engagement is focused on the whole of the general public, start by choosing a group. You might decide to choose a group that you're already really well engaged with and successful with, and you want to build on that. Or you might choose a group that you really had very little engagement with, and you want to focus on a really small group. But whatever it is, I really recommend you drill down and don't just think, oh, this is going to be for everyone. So now we come on to the meaty bits. How? Okay. So two-way communication is not only from an engagement point of view, but from any kind of perspective, it's the way to get people engaged. You know, talking at someone can have its role in terms of keeping people interested, entertained, informed. But if you really want to capture them and build a relationship, it has to be two-way. So here are some ideas for two-way communication for engaging people: focus groups, online surveys, interviews, and questionnaires. I mean, there's loads more, but these are just some that popped up. And as I say, for one-way communication, it's a way of, you know, keeping people interested, keeping them informed. It might not necessarily be the best way to capture them, but it's certainly an important part of engaging people in the long term. So you might have newsletters, emails, podcasts, blogs, events. And I should have said, I'll mail out this presentation on a PDF at the end of the at the end of the session, so you can have it if you want to refer to it. But once we've talked all about our online surveys and questionnaires and focus groups, and once we've got our plans for our newsletters and podcasts and whatever it is to send that information out one way, we've always got to come back to the two-way loop, because a relationship is two ways, and engagement, when it works, has to be a relationship of giving and taking, two-way communication. So the most simple way is to say thank you. The next step is to keep reflecting back what you've heard, so people have a chance to say yeah or nay, or add or subtract. And of course, isn't this the real end point? to make the changes, to show how we've listened. So that is the way a relationship is really built, by asking, by engaging, by listening, but then by putting that into practice. I put this slide, says get good at communication. Really, this whole thing is about communication. It's about two-way communication primarily. And so I've just thrown up here some, what I will call basic points for good communication. So this little session is about engaging, but it's also about sharing your messages, which is really, engagement is a fundamental part of that. So being consistent and regular is a very important element. Keeping positive, the two-way communication I mentioned several times. And of course, our favorite, what do they call that? An acronym, not an acronym. Our favorite acronym, KISS, which you know is keep it short and simple. That's what I call it anyway, keep it short and simple. So we're all overwhelmed at the moment with information. I don't know about your inbox, but emails are coming, even videos actually. So if you can keep things short and simple, keep them positive, you've got much better chance of people paying attention and then getting involved. I'm come to my final slide now, which, as I said at the beginning, it's not a one size fits all. So it is very much up to you and your organization to find the mix and make it work for you. So just to kind of go over really the points I mentioned. Get your goals clear. Be clear who you're aiming at and who you're missing, because you probably want to aim at them as well. Get yourself a plan. And it's true, you can't do it all. I think I said at the beginning as well, we're all limited in time and resources. So much better to focus on a smaller group and a smaller target and try and do everything and wear yourself out. Ask for help, talk to others, because try and get some feedback both on your goals and about the way you're doing it. It does take time, so think about your timeline, that consistency, and because it's much more important to keep going and do less every week than to go crazy in a week and then leave it for the next 12 months. Building relationships takes time, so keep communicating and keep reviewing, keep looking back and trying to tweak and asking people for feedback about how you're doing. And it's the feedback loop, isn't it? So that we learn from our experiences. That, ladies and gentlemen, was my whistle-stop tour of engaging is key.